It began on a Tuesday, nothing remarkable about it. No arguments, no slammed doors or stormy skies. Just an eerie, suffocating stillness. I just walked in from work, slipped off my shoes. The familiar jingle of keys hitting the counter echoing. Through the quiet house, the fridge hummed softly, and the hallway still held the fading scent of her shampoo, drifting like memory through the air. She stood by the window, arms folded, eyes staring out as if watching something I couldn't see. "You okay?" I asked, more out of habit than concern, not expecting the world to tilt. She turned slowly. Her voice was calm, her face expressionless, like the warmth had been drained from her bones. "I don't want to do this anymore," she said. No tremble, no hesitation. Just those 8 words, dropped like stones into the glass stillness of our life. I gave a little laugh, awkward, waiting for her to smile. But there was no smile waiting for me. No frustration, no cruelty, just resignation. She wasn't trying to hurt me. She just didn't care anymore. And somehow, that indifference hit harder than any rage ever could. I stood there frozen, words forming in my throat, but none of them felt worth saying. I could see it in her eyes. She was finished, not out of anger, but absence. The kind of absence you don't come back from. So I did something I never thought I would. I turned and walked out. Not for air, not for a night to think things over. I left for good. No suitcase, no note, just my wallet and keys. Got in the car and drove, kept going until everything behind me blurred into a smear of highway and regret. I ended up 5 hours away, in a sleepy coastal town that smelled of salt and solitude. The kind of place with more fishing boats than people, where no one asks where you came from and everyone minds their own business. I rented a tiny room above a hardware store, cash only. Found odd jobs fixing fences, patching roofs, unclogging drains. Told people my name was Drew. No last name, no past, no story. Every morning I'd walk down to the docks before sunrise. Coffee in hand, zipped tight against the sea wind. The gulls screeched overhead. Boats creaked in their moorings. And inside me, finally, there was silence. Some might call it cowardice, disappearing like that. But sometimes vanishing is the only way to remember how to breathe. Even then, though, she was everywhere, in the scent of Earl Grey from the cafe to streets over, in the songs playing softly from old radios behind shop counters, in the way my hand still reached for someone beside me in bed each night, and always found nothing but empty sheets. She never called, not once. And that silence, the absence of even a goodbye, cut deeper than any fight ever could. Months passed. I became part of the rhythm there. Quiet man, hard worker, early riser. No one asked much, and I gave even less. Then, one day, my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. Darren, an old friend, someone we'd both known. His voice was tentative, like he didn't want to be the one saying what he had to say. "It's Isabel," he said quietly. My chest clenched. "She's sick. Stage 1 cancer. They caught it early. But she's going through it alone." I said nothing. Just let the words hang between us. "I know it's not really my place, man," he added. "But she doesn't have anyone else." I didn't answer. Not then. But the next morning, I got in my car and drove. I didn't rehearse what I'd say. Didn't know if she'd even open the door. Maybe she'd tell me to leave. Maybe she'd just close it in my face. But she didn't. She opened it. She looked different, thinner, worn around the eyes, like the fire in her had flickered, but never fully gone out. She stared at me in stunned silence. Her lips parted like a question. "You don't have to say anything," I told her softly. "I'm just here, if you want someone around." She didn't speak, just stepped aside and let me in. The house was unchanged, but it felt hollow, like no one had truly lived there in a long time. That night, I took the couch. She didn't. Offer the bed. I didn't expect her to. The next morning, I made her tea just the way she always liked it. My hands remembered what my heart hadn't forgotten. She drank it without a word. And that became our rhythm. Quiet gestures, small routines, no apologies, no promises, no labels. Her treatment began. Chemotherapy, nausea, fatigue. I drove her. 2 appointments, sat through the hours of waiting rooms and whispered prayers. I held her hair back when she was sick, held her hand when she trembled, stayed up on the nights she couldn't sleep. Not for closure. Not for some fairy tale ending. Just because love doesn't vanish simply because you do. 3 months in, we sat at the kitchen table, rain tapping softly against the window. She looked up at me, fragile and curious. "Why did you come back?" she asked. I paused, tempted to offer something easy. But she deserved the truth, because I still cared. I said, "Even when you didn't." She didn't cry, just nodded, reached across the table and placed her hand over mine. It was simple. But in that moment, something shifted. Over the next few months, things got lighter. She smiled more, laughed sometimes, out loud. We watched old movies on the couch, took slow walks through quiet streets. Her arm looped through mine. I read to her when her eyes were too tired for screens. She'd fall asleep against my shoulder, soft breath against my shirt, and we truly talked for the first time in a long time. She told me she'd felt invisible, fading in a room I was standing in, like nothing she said ever echoed back. I told her I felt useless, like no matter what I gave, it was never what she needed. It hurt. God, it hurt, but it was honest, and sometimes pain is the only doorway to truth. Then one afternoon, her doctor smiled gently and looked up from the papers. "You're clear," he said. That was it. No parade, no fanfare, just 2 words. She collapsed into my arms and sobbed like a child, and I held her like I'd never let her fall again. She beat cancer, but in those 5 months, we beat something else, too: distance, pride, and silence. We didn't return to what we used to be. We built something new, not perfect, not effortless, but real. And that made all the difference.